Thank you, Professor James, for that very eloquent and deep insight into the book Madrasa Life. Now, we are short of time and we've been delayed, so without further delay, I will call upon our next speaker who will speak to us, and then we'll have Asr prayer, and then we'll have the remaining speeches after Salatul Asr. The next speaker is Dr. Mahmood Chandia, whom most of you may be well aware of. He is very dear to us, a friend, or I can say a senior to me, who graduated from the famous, renowned Darul Uloom in Bury, UK in 1988. He also studied at Azhar University. He done his master's, and then he also attained his PhD, which was on the work Kanzul Ummal by Sheikh Ali Muttaqi al-Hindi, who was a very famous muhaddith, a scholar of hadith from the Indian subcontinent, and that his PhD thesis was on the author and his book. At present, he is a lecturer at the University of Central Lancashire, Manchester Metropolitan University, and also teaches tafsir and various other Islamic sciences at the Darul Uloom in Bolton. Dr. Mahmood will also talk to us about this book, Madrasa Life, a Student's Day at Nadwatul Ulama. The author, as you all know, is Dr. Akram Nadwi, and inshallah I call upon Dr. Mahmood Chandia.
نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الذين يستمعون القول فيتبعون أحسنه أولئك الذين هم هداهم الله وأولئك هم أولو الألباب صدق الله المولان العظيم. Learned scholars, brothers in Islam, ladies, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I've been asked to talk about my personal experiences whilst I was at an experienced Madrasa Life. I've also had the honor and opportunity to read through Dr. Akram Nadwi's text, Madrasa Life. I've been reading it for the last couple of nights, and it was a good read and reminded me of a lot of incidents through my own personal life while studying in a madrasa. Now, sometimes it is difficult for one person to convey their lived experiences in a certain setting. So some of you will have an experience of having driving lessons. And how do you explain that to somebody else? Some of you will have gone for a holiday. And how would you explain the wonders of that holiday or the bad experiences of such a holiday to someone, because you're the person who's experienced that? Some of you may well have had the experience of living away from home as a student, not necessarily in a madrasa, but on a university campus. Some of you may well have studied abroad and have had to fend for yourself, as we say. Look after yourself, look after your health, wealth, etc. But you've had to look after yourself, and that's been an experience for you, and that's special. Dr. Akram Nadwi's account of Madrasa Life is, on the one hand, obviously special to him, and whilst I was reading the 24-hour cycle of events, there were lots of commonalities that I had personally experienced in my Madrasa Life in England. I was overwhelmed by the desire within the Madrasa Life at Lucknow in India, which he was talking about, the love of Arabic literature, the degree of intellectual inquiry the students demonstrated within conversations, and not only that, but the love for that knowledge, the love for inquiring and pursuit of that knowledge. The ability within social hours that students had to sit with lecturers who are masters in either Arabic literature. Dr. Akram Nadwi speaks about, after, I think, an Asr to Maghrib session of sitting with the Shaykh and listening to poetic verses being recited, which are very moving. The work itself has some very moving poetry. But going back to my original point, it's, if you can imagine yourself trying to explain something to someone where you personally have experienced it and the other person hasn't. For some people, the experience of standing on the Stretford end at Old Trafford, or the experience of standing on the Kop at Anfield, or going to the Emirates Stadium, or going to the bridge, is a personal experience which they feel is difficult to explain, or the love of football or squash or tennis or whatever, because it's a personal experience. However, given that, let me try and take you through a journey. And at the other end, we have to realize, if we go through some of these theme parks on this ghost train, you don't know what's going to hit you and when, but you're prepared to go for the full hog and full journey. Okay. The madrasa life is exciting. If you push me, I will say it was the best time of my life. If you ask students, what was the best time of your life? They'll say, when I was at school, or when I was in college. It was a life free from any worry. It was a life that's totally devoted to learning. And in that scenario, the madrasa life offers education. An education not just that is seen from a distance as being a rote fashion education, where the medium of education is didactical, one way sort of. There is a field of inquiry that entertains competing viewpoints, that takes the student on this journey from dependent learning, where you need the sheikh, where you need the teacher, to independent learning, where you have now been empowered, upskilled to go through the sophisticated texts, to appreciate Islamic law, to appreciate the science of Quranic exegesis, Quranic commentary, to appreciate the science of hadith in all its beauty. And furthermore, I've come down today with my sheikh of Arabic literature, who's also a sheikh of hadith as well, under whom I learned the maqamat of Hariri. And anybody who will have heard or has studied the maqamat of Hariri will possibly go, oh, here we go again, the maqamat comes up. Or the mu'allaqat. These were texts that represented classical Arabic literature in prose and poetry form. The beauty of the Arabic language, describing one verb in one state to another, was also appreciated in these sciences. But I think the one experience that has always been etched on my memory is the fact that I was gifted by Allah for a certain phase of my life to go through all those traditions, narrations, transmissions, which today have been passed down through authentic lines of transmission to provide what the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam did in his 24 hours, in his lifetime, in his life in Makkah, in his life in Medina. One of the suggestive directives of tutors was, try to ensure that you don't miss a hadith transmission, i.e., don't miss class. Now that is something that the student values. I don't remember a day after leaving madrasa where I've sat down to go through in one day all those hadiths that I had a chance to go through whilst I was in madrasa. It just never happens. It's like saying when you were at college, do you have that same freedom after you graduate? But if you can imagine a scenario where not only you are enveloped, as the hadith states, by angels in a gathering where hadith is being recited, the Quran is being taught, or the Quranic sciences are being taught, not only is that assembly in itself blessed, not only upon that assembly from Islamic literature we learn that the people who are embraced under the wings of angels, upon their hearts descends tranquility and peace of mind, but also that knowledge is learnt for a purpose to broaden their knowledge, but ultimately to know of Allah. And that is one of the striking points and commonalities that I saw in Dr. Nadwi's account of life at Lucknow Nadwatul Ulum. That there was a purpose there was a function there. He mentions sitting at the assemblies of the late Maulana Abul Hasan Sheikh Nadwi, who we all remember, and his wise words, his aphoristic statements, all geared towards taking the student from a position of not just learning for the sake of learning, or learning for the sake of acquiring an earning or a livelihood, but taking the student to realize that learning is geared towards what is something referred to as irfan, ma'rifah, learning of Allah, learning how to serve Allah, learning how to serve the community, learning how to serve society, learning how to serve humanity, how to take this individual from being on the lowest depths of animalistic behavior patterns to take him to a level where his behavior patterns is characterized as being humane and human. That course in Madrasa life doesn't just give you knowledge about Islam, but also offered what is referred to as tarbiyah, the nurturing of the human within the person. Because knowledge without humanity is seen as a tree without fruits. More the knowledge, the lower the branches will sway. But if this human is freed from the shackles of some of the lower animalistic traits within humans, then this person reaches a level where his own personal bondage, connection and link with his Creator is strengthened. That is another aspect of Madrasa life. And that is enhanced by the close companionship of the shuyukh and masters of learning. The opportunity to spend time with people who are not just well seasoned and experienced in life, not just people who are professors and masters of their discipline, who also have embracive knowledge over other disciplines, but people who are also high in the ranks of love for the Prophet, companionship with other elders themselves, and close to Allah, the Creator.